A visit to Volkswagen in Wolfsburg, Germany. EurActiv is here as an observer. He is responsible for a report preparing a draft law aimed at steering the EU's auto industry into the future. Cars 21 looks at new ways to hug the road and keep abreast of the competition. There are 12 million jobs at stake. This industry is one of Europe's biggest employers.
Ich glaube, allen Automobilherstellern in Deutschland, aber auch in Europa ist
All of Germany's and Europe's car makers are aware that they have to adapt very fast, but the change has to be feasible. Unrealistic demands are out. They would lead to sackings in Europe, and no one wants that. We want to keep the jobs here. We also want a new fuel which everyone can afford to hit the market very fast.
Und trotzdem neue Technologie bezahlbar für alle Menschen sehr schnell auf den Markt kommt.
Merci. The Commissioner for Industry, Günther Verheugen, began the Cars 21 initiative. The Environment Commissioner Stavros Dimas equally, 2 years ago. Taking a step towards the industry should not mean making concessions on the environment, however. And the Greens say Cars 21 lacks any real vision for the future of our automobile society.
The automobile industry plays a big, powerful role in Brussels. It does everything it can so that its interests are at the center of attention. Of course, there's nothing surprising in that. But in my opinion, the policy should take a broader view of the problem and should not give way when it comes to defining the car of the future.
Car use shows no sign of decreasing. There are already more than 600 million privately owned cars in the world, and predictions point to a boom in newly industrializing countries such as China and India, or in South America. The 1 billion mark is expected to be reached by the year 2030. Asia has become the top car-producing continent. European companies are trying to boost their presence in China and Korea. Volkswagen led passenger car sales in China last year. Japan's Toyota was second. The Association of Chinese Motor Car Manufacturers says China sold more cars overall in 2005 than Japan. Alexander Wurz is demonstrating a safety qualification test required of all drivers in Austria. He doesn't always drive this slowly on the job.
What's most important about this training, as statistics show, is the reduction of traffic accidents, fatal accidents or other types. That's why we're here. We want to make the world's roads safer. And what could be better than proving that?
Und was gibt es Schöneres, als wenn man das auch wirklich nachweisen kann?
The International Automobile Federation and EurActiv invited Wurz to Brussels to promote his safe driving course for European application. So far, just 3 EU countries have mandatory training like this: Luxembourg, Finland and Austria.
Of course, I don't want anyone to drive 300 on the roads because that's too crazy and not of any point.
The MEPs listen attentively.
Safer roads.
We'll observe how it works in the member states that already have this training, the Finns, Austrians and the Luxembourgers. They have the best results at the moment. What can we propose to the others that already exists, which they could then choose to adopt themselves? We hope the debate won't go on too long, and then we can think along other lines concerning the whole of Europe.
Everyone benefits from safer roads. Wurz says the fast driver image is so out of date. In the future, drivers will have to take their responsibilities seriously.
Wenn ich als Rennfahrer
If I drive fast in Formula One racing and pass another driver, fishtail, and then slow down so they can't overtake me, then I'm a hero the next day, but only on the track. But if I drive too fast on the road, I can only be a loser.
kann ich nur verlieren.
The European Commission has proposed making the car industry keep carbon dioxide emissions from new cars down to 130 grams per kilometre from 2012. Anything like the present 160 grams from an engine would bring a hail of fines for the manufacturer. The car lobby objects to this, saying the rules will boost the price per car by more than 1,000 euros. Makers of big cars will be affected the most, they say. This MEP from Slovakia fears the worst for Eastern European countries.
The industry has already created more than 500,000 jobs. It has an uncontestable and important social and economic influence on these countries. In the eventuality that the new EU rules are not balanced, there would be very heavy consequences on these countries and the future of their economies.
For the Conservative Hudaki, then, the new CO2 measures foul the air. For his colleague of the left, the proposal doesn't go far enough.
The industry is leaning on politicians in this parliament and has managed to create allies in the Commission, so close that far less severe limits are going to be set. What's more, the date frame is looser than I would have liked to see.
At the United Nations Climate Change Conference in Bali, after long discussion, an agreement was reached on a roadmap. It was decided that greenhouse gas reduction targets will have to be determined by 2009 in Copenhagen. Europe fought hardest for that, yet Rebecca Harms considers the result totally contradictory.
It gives me great pleasure to welcome to conference.
Bali showed that the Europeans are completely at ease with their role during international negotiations as the instigators of debate. At the same time, we noticed the commitments that were made both before and after Bali. If we manage to adopt concrete measures with rules going against what industry wants, then in terms of climate policy, will and reality are light years apart.
Car makers such as Volkswagen know that most of the European Parliament is on their side. A factory that employs more than 320,000 people packs a strong argument in Europe, the importance of the environment aside.